Welcome to the Catholic Sobriety Podcast, the go-to resource for women seeking to have a deeper understanding of the role alcohol plays in their lives. Women who are looking to drink less or not at all for any reason. I am your host, Christy Walker. I'm a wife, mom, and a joy-filled Catholic, and I am the Catholic Sobriety Coach, and I am so glad you're here. Okay, welcome back, everybody. My guest today is Sterling Jaquith. And if you are a Catholic mom, you've likely heard her name or are familiar with her work. She just published a new book called Catholic Mom Calm: 6 Steps to Calm the Chaos in Everyday Life. I mean, 6 steps. Does that not sound amazing? That sounds so attainable. So now before I have Sterling introduce herself, I just want to talk a little bit about her. I've known of Sterling for many years. We belong to a Catholic influencers group. And almost 2 years ago, I hired her as my business coach. And it has transformed my life, like all aspects of my life, really. And the reason for that is because she taught me how to invite the Holy Spirit in and, just ask God what he wants from me. So now I'm doing what I'm doing now. And so I just owe her a debt of gratitude. And I just thank you so much. So again, Sterling's new book is called Catholic Mom Calm, and I'll have the link in the show notes. Welcome, Sterling. I'm so happy to have you here.
I'm so happy to be here. I love podcasting. I think podcasting is such a great thing for moms. I think they think it's scary, but I think there's the least amount of technology involved in podcasting. Like building websites is scary to me, and even social media stuff can feel overwhelming. But I'm just telling you guys, you could get a microphone and you don't even need to do the video. You could have like a messy mom bun and just record a podcast and just really have a huge impact in people's lives. I love what your podcast is about, and it's just so needed.
Thank you. Yeah, I think the more voices we can get out there, especially Catholic women, the better. So I would love to see more and more of that. And I'm always in for a new Catholic podcast too. I love it.
Yeah.
So go ahead and tell my audience a little bit more about you and then why you wrote the book.
Yeah. So I did not grow up Catholic. I didn't grow up really with any religion. And my mom ended up having this big Protestant conversion experience when I was away at college. So I was at college, I come home and she's like, I love Jesus. And I was like, no, I am not into that at all. And I was happy for her. She seemed happy. So I wasn't against it, but I was like, you seem happy. That seems good for you. And so at the time, and I've always been an entrepreneur, I was building websites. And she said, my pastor wants to build a website for the church. Could you help him? And I thought, yeah, I love websites. I'll go help him. And my mom at this point really had never asked me for anything. She raised me as a single mom, and I felt very indebted to her and just grateful for all the sacrifices that she made. And so I was like, yeah, I'll go do this. So I go to this guy's house every Wednesday and I start building a website with him. And he and I would plink it out in his office. And then we'd come out and his wife made dinner for us. So the 3 of us would then have dinner. So over time, and it's a long story, but really I just converted to love Jesus for real with my whole heart. And I did not want to have any children or get married up until this point. So really up until 23, 24, I had no interest in that. But then when I became Christian, I thought, I think I should get married. And if I'm going to get married, I think I should have 2 kids. For some reason, that was just very logical to me. And then I met my husband, who was Catholic. And I was like, oh, gross, Catholic. And I did not think that we could make it work or that we could get on the same page. And I wasn't like an anti-Catholic Protestant, and I was a baby Protestant really at this point. But really, ultimately, I prayed. The Protestant pastor taught me to pray. And that's just all I do now. And we'll talk about how that plays into the book in a minute. But he really taught me how to discern God's will for my life. And I really felt like the Holy Spirit was calling me to marry this Catholic man. And because I had learned that your husband should be the spiritual leader of your household. I thought, all right, Lord, if you're calling me to marry this man, you must be calling me to be Catholic. And so I just jumped. I didn't ask a lot of questions. I just said, all right, I'm signing up. I'm going to do all the things. And I knew that we would practice natural family planning. I knew that Catholics didn't use birth control. I guess I just thought that that was easy because I told my husband, I said, listen, I only want 2 kids. I was like, I'm not going to do this Catholic man business. I'm not doing that. And apparently for some people, it is not easy. And we had 6 kids in 8 years. So we had these 6 kids, fast and furious. And so here I am, and I didn't even want to have kids. I'm not very maternal naturally. And I was just drowning in all of it. And I was so unhappy. And life felt so difficult and overwhelming. And that's really when I set out to learn about how to make motherhood better. And this was maybe 7 years ago when I started my first podcast. And I just thought there have to be tools to make it easier. It can't be this hard. And I found a lot of tools, and that was amazing. And I had this podcast and I taught the tools to women, and it was very helpful. But then I discovered coaching. I had never heard that word before, really, like in the context of moms talking to someone and getting coached. I'd never heard that. But coaching just completely transformed my life. And then I knew that I wanted to help moms do that. And really, coaching is just seeing the words in your brain and deciding if you want to keep them or not, right? That's what it is. Therapy looks back, right? Therapy goes, oh, you've been through something and we're going to help your brain make sense of it. Coaching, a little bit more present and future focused, like what's going on in your brain and is it even true or not? And so that's what I do now is just help people, moms, Catholic moms, look inside their brains and go, are the things I'm thinking even true? And when we begin to start dropping the things that aren't true, suddenly our life starts feeling so much better. And that's exactly what happened for me. And I've just now seen it happen so many times that I just know it's really the answer so many people are looking for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's beautiful. And that's so true. And I think that that's what you've helped me with too. And a lot of times it's like, I don't feel worthy. That's something that always comes up. Like, why am I stuck? Why am I stuck? I guess I don't feel worthy, even when you're not like consciously thinking about it. And that's how coaching is so helpful because, you're saying something, but you don't always hear what you're saying because you have that thought loop that's going on in your brain that's, like kind of clouding it. So you can't pull out those things, but a coach can pull out that. And then you can look at it and be like, oh, I do feel unworthy. And then you can look at it, address it, and then that helps free you up to move forward. So I love that. And what an interesting conversion story. I've heard you say your conversion story many different times, but I haven't heard, all of that, some of that information. So yeah, I love hearing, like little bits and pieces because we can't get it all out. There's so much. I tell people all the time, like my sobriety journey, my faith journey is so long. I can't, if I just sat here, it'd be boring and it'd be like 8 hours and you don't want to listen to it.
Yeah.
But yeah. So your book, Catholic Mom Calm. So most of my listeners are Catholic moms who have turned to substances like alcohol to cope. First of all, I just want to say this book is so stinking cute. It's really beautiful. It's got lots of questions and like places to write in. And I just love it so much. It feels so good. But anyway, I digress. So most of my listeners are Catholic moms and they're turning to substances for my listeners. But of course, moms buffer with all kinds of things, right? Like food and screen time and, whatever, shopping, all these different things. And I'm just wondering, in your experience, why do you think that is such a common issue? And is it more prevalent today, do you think, than it was in the past? Right now, alcohol feels like the only way that you can cope with the stress of motherhood, social pressures, and maybe even fit in with your group of friends. But you're starting to realize that it's leaving you feeling ashamed, disconnected, and maybe even out of control. Imagine if you could wake up each morning feeling at peace and proud of the choices that you're making and free from the pressure to drink, whether that's at home or in social settings. And that, my friend, is where my 5-day sacred sobriety kickstart comes in. By the end of the 5 days, you will feel more peaceful and in control because you will have more clarity and confidence around your decisions to take it or leave it. You're also going to learn how to manage your mind in a way that is aligned with your faith. You will learn how to speak truth over yourself, and that will help you root out what's keeping you stuck. So check out my 5-day Sacred Sobriety Kickstart and gain the clarity you need to make the decision to take alcohol or leave it from a place of peace. You can visit my website, thecatholicsobrietycoach.com. I have a pop-up there, or just go to my show notes.
Yeah, I think it is. And I think it's because we're living in a really crazy modern society and nobody's saying that it's crazy. So we all just think something's wrong with us. So, like, just imagine if you took a person who didn't have any context for war or wartime, okay? And we just like dropped them into the Great Depression. Right? We dropped them into the Great Depression when people are like rationing things and like squirreling away aluminum foil and like all this weird stuff, right? But you didn't tell the person that that was weird. You were just like, hey, this is the family and you can make a family here. And this is how it looks to live. That person would be like, this seems really hard, or this seems weird. I don't know. But if they didn't know what was happening, our brain just automatically tells us that something is wrong with us, right? So that person would just be like, I must not be working hard enough. That's probably why I'm not finding a job. Or, I must not be budgeting really well. That's why it seems like my money isn't being stretching for the whole month, right? And when I say that, it sounds silly to the rest of us because we would understand the context of where that person is living, that time period. And first of all, even those people didn't have a word for it. When they were living through it, we didn't call it the Great Depression, but they knew that the war had happened. They knew that things were hard and that it wouldn't always be like this. And so they kind of rallied together and they coped in ways that only lasted for that time. And then when things got better, they stopped coping. So right now, I think we're living through a really, really difficult time, but we don't have a word for it yet. And I have a feeling in 50 years, we'll look back and go, oh, that was the blah, blah, blah era. Right. And it was so hard. And so what's hard about living right now is the excessive amount of noise that we're all exposed to. The just huge volume of information, particularly conflicting information, and the lack of support. We've never been more isolated than we are now, which feels like it's not true because we have all the phones and the apps and the things, right? So it seems like we should be more connected, but we're not. We're more disconnected. And we're just watching everyone's best moments on the internet. So we think that's how people are living. And even though not one mom thinks that, if I grabbed any mom off the street and I would say, do you think Instagram life is real? She'd be like, of course it's not real. We know that intellectually, but when you're scrolling, that goes away. Immediately you're like, no, really, everyone's house is prettier than mine. And they are all thinner than me. And their kids are all getting along. We just think that's how it is. So we are living in an insane, crazy time. You are not crazy. Of course, you're turning to things to cope. Because if you haven't been told that you're in a battle for your attention and your nervous system, and you're just trying to live, your brain is fritzing out and you're just trying to handle each day. And so, of course, we're turning to alcohol and food and shopping and scrolling. Scrolling is one of the ways that we just cope. right?
Mhm.
And then it makes it worse. We're just like stuck in these cycles where the thing that we're doing to feel better is making it worse.
Right.
But I do think it's more now or unique now. That's kind of just like that maybe
Right.
every generation has their own unique things, but I think those are very dark things and we're not talking about it like the Great Depression. Even in the Great Depression, they
Mhm.
knew that things were dark.
Mhm.
I don't think moms are talking about 2023 like that, but I think it is.
Right. Right. Yeah, I completely agree with you. And I like your take on it. Um, because I am seeing that just so many moms are having these issues. And like you said, we're feeling so isolated and we think we're the only ones. So
Yeah.
a lot of my clients they feel like, well, all my friends are fine. They can drink, they can, do this and that. And it doesn't, they don't seem affected by it. They don't seem like it bothers them or like
Oh,
they are wondering if they have a problem with it. It's just me. And I think that translates through any of those things that you mentioned. So, yeah. And I think that I love what you said that we are living in a time right now that doesn't have a name like the Great Depression. And I'm wondering like what that would even be,
yeah. I don't
but
know what it'll be, but I just know that it's just really bad. And first of all,
yeah.
I think the number of moms that are drinking 1 to 2 glasses of alcohol every night just to make it through their life is pretty significant. I think we
Mm-hmm.
don't know that number right now, but my guess is it's much, much higher than we think that it is. But
Mm-hmm.
it's private. We don't see that.
Yeah.
And then when we're out with our friends and we have 1 or 2 drinks, everyone's doing that, but that's in a proper place, I guess.
Right.
But we don't, and so we think, oh, then we're the only ones who go home and keep doing that. Right. But I
Mm-hmm.
just want you to know, even if it's not alcohol, right? Like most moms I know are really struggling with overeating, over drinking, over scrolling. Like they are doing some compulsive behavior
Mm-hmm.
to cope with their life because they
Yeah.
just feel like they're drowning and overwhelmed.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's so true. So your book offers solutions to kind of calm that chaos. So can you share, so you have 6 strategies. Can you share like one of your strategies though
Yeah.
with my listeners?
Yeah, we could probably cover a couple, but I think the first
Sure.
one is just what we said, which is just normalizing where you're at. Like,
Hmm.
whoa, like I just want to grab every woman and be like, you are living in a crazy environment, right? Like when we put soldiers in war, they know they're in war.
Hmm.
They know it's crazy. And then we give them tools and we're like, hey, you got to make it, buddy. Right. And
Right.
and I think that we are living lives like that, really assaultive lives where the noise of our kids and the television and the phones is really assaultive,
Hmm.
but we're not describing it like that. So I think step one is just recognizing, like, oh, I'm not crazy. This is
Hmm.
really hard. Now, I think women are just superheroes and we can do really hard things.
Hmm.
Anytime you ask a woman to step up, she's really great at problem solving and getting things done.
Hmm.
I just think women aren't getting the message that's what's needed. And I'm not saying we should add more to their plate. I just mean
Right.
like you're in a battle. Stop pretending like this is not the wartime. This is the
Hmm.
wartime.
Hmm.
And we just have to fight against noise, busyness. And really, so much of the battle is our own stress and anxiety. And so when I
Hmm.
found these tools 3 years ago, the first thing that happened was I lost 70 pounds. That's crazy. I
Hmm.
had never been able to do that before. And as soon as I learned how to calm my body down, I learned how to not need to cope with my life as much.
Hmm.
And so I think I just want to give everyone some hope. Like that
Hmm.
one, of course you're drinking. Of course you
Hmm.
are. Like that's what I would say to every woman who's drinking more than she wants to right now. Like, of
Right.
course you're doing that.
Hmm.
I mean, in Vietnam, they did heroin to cope
Right.
with that, right?
Right.
And then when we just say, like, you're in a battle, this is really hard. Of course, you're doing something to cope with it. Now, let me give you some tools and it's going to make it feel better. And we're just
Hmm.
going to create pockets of safety for you. And then the more pockets of safety you have in your life, the less you will feel the need to drink, eat, shop, whatever it is that we're doing just to cope.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. And I also think it's important to note that just because let's say you are drinking just 2 glasses of wine every night, let's say, but it's every night and it's something that you look forward to and you're preoccupied with it and it's taking up brain space and then it's causing chaos because you're feeling anxious about it and you're wondering about it. You don't have to be a quote unquote alcoholic. You don't have to even have hit rock bottom or lost all these things or have difficulty in your relationships or for the woman that overeats, she may not have like a ton of weight she has to lose, but she's taking up so much brain space, like thinking about what she's going to eat and feeling bad about what she ate and all of these types of things. I think it's really important to recognize that it doesn't have to get to a place where it's a problem or creating even more chaos or problems before you start to address the issues.
Yeah. And I want us to all stop calling it a willpower problem, because that's what we do. We're like, oh, it's just a willpower problem. And we're like, really? Like, and again, we have so much compassion for American soldiers. We have so much compassion for them because of the sacrifice that they make and what they're willing to go overseas and do for us, that we would never be like, let's just imagine one of them smoking. Okay. And they weren't really a smoker, but now they're over there and it's stressful to be in Afghanistan and they're smoking. We wouldn't be like, can't you just get it together, man? Like, can't you just improve your willpower? Like, you know that smoking is bad. Like, we'd just be like, honey, you do what you got to do. I love you. Like, and we say it to them because they're kind of in these temporary environments. And I actually think it's harder to be a modern day mom in some ways because we don't get a break. We're not doing an 18-month tour, you guys. We're like in it for 18 years, and it just is going to be difficult, but you don't lack willpower. Okay. I mean, what we have to do is right now, your brain is scanning your environment and it just sees like 10 wolves staring at you. I want you to imagine if 10 real life wolves were staring at you. And then I tried to like teach you algebra. You'd be like, I don't even hear any of the words you're saying, Sterling, because 10 wolves are staring at me right now. Like it's a gripping feeling and our thinking brain shuts down. But in modern life, your brain is really interpreting a significant number of things in your life like wolves. And so we just don't take a person like that and say, well, you just don't have enough willpower. Like that is not the problem. The thing that we want to do is we want to get your brain to say, hey, maybe that's not a wolf. Maybe it's a German Shepherd, right? And so there's still something there, right? But it's not going to eat your face. Your brain's like, it's probably going to eat my face. But instead we could just be like, yeah, maybe though it's not as scary. And then when we do that, that's what the work is. The work is looking at all these things and walking through them. And let's just use your calendar, for example. Okay. Christy, we just signed the boys up for soccer. Okay. We've never done that. Not just the boys. We signed 5 of the 6 kids up for soccer. And I have to date been a mom for 12 and a half years and we've never done any sports. Okay. But my husband convinced me and I was like, okay, we're going to try it. When I open my calendar, okay, and I see Tuesday and Thursday nights now, I'm like, it feels like wolves, okay? Because the kids are all at different times. They're at least, praise God, on the same field. They're at the same school. So I don't have to drive multiple places. But that's an example. It's just a micro example because this is new for me. I pull up my calendar and my brain goes, oh, we're going to die. That's how it feels when I look at those soccer schedules on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And so I just go, hey, brain, I see that this is new. I see that you're really scared right now. Like, it's okay. Yes, we're going to have to do a little juggling and some string cheese in the car. And we're going to have to get kids to where they need to be. And yes, the 8-year-old will probably complain in between her other sister's practices while she's hanging out. Like when you begin to tell your brain what it's really scared of and just say, yeah, that's real. I will never tell someone like, oh, it's fine. You're fine. Right. We do that to ourselves all the time. Right. We're very dismissive of the things. that we're scared of, I validate it. Like, yeah, driving and getting kids to 6 different practices is a lot, but it's not going to kill us. We can do it. And we have a pretty good plan. And it's actually going really well. So I find that the wolf moment for me is when I look at my calendar and I'm like, and then I coach myself. And then actually doing it has been just fine. Now, I have not had to sit in the rain yet. Okay. I don't know what y'all do. I don't know how y'all handle that. What you have to sit. I haven't had to do that yet. But right now, getting them to practice and feeding them and how it's folded in with our family has actually been just fine. But this is the difference between if I didn't know how to talk to myself and use some of the tools in this book, those are the days that I would have gone through a drive-through, like, and gotten Wendy's hamburgers and French fries, not because we needed food, but because I was so stressed about the wolves. And now I'm like, they're not wolves. Yeah, there's this new thing and it's uncomfortable and I'm adjusting. But I bought string cheese and put that in the car in case I was hungry, the kids were hungry. And it just feels so much better. Like it just feels so much easier to cope with my life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love what you said about it's not a willpower problem. It's not, because if we think about things that we have willpower around, it's like we have willpower. There are things that we can will ourselves. It's really a willingness. Like I have a willingness not to do this.
Ooh,
I don't want to do that. Yeah. And so with other things, we're not at that stage yet, right? Where we have that willingness not to do it. And that's okay at that time. It's really about like getting curious, coaching yourself through it, like you said, and being able to look at things as they are and recognizing what we're feeling, how we're feeling, and, why we're feeling that, and then kind of go from there. But so what advice would you have for a mom who is questioning whether or not her drinking is becoming problematic or her eating is maybe out of control? Maybe she's eating for the wrong reasons or shopping for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the best ways to figure it out is either to go a week without it. So I would just be like, I mean, it's so scary to tell your brain, like, we're not going to drink at all. Right. But you should be able to say, I'm not going to drink Monday through Friday. And if you can't make it Monday through Friday because the urge to drink is so strong, all that's telling us is that you have wired in your brain, when I feel unsafe, I drink wine. I'll just pick wine. I drink some wine and then I feel safe. And that has worked really, really well. I just want you to know that your drinking has taken care of you. That's how your brain thinks about it. Your brain is like, hey, darling, your life is so crazy. Let me give you a glass of wine to calm you down. Like that is just a really effective tool. And your brain is doing that because it loves you. Now, we know that there are these other consequences that come out of it, and we may not want those. And so then if you can't make it 5 days without drinking, right? I just want you to pay attention, like, oh, I've just wired this in my brain very strongly. I've just wired it very strongly in my brain. I'm not that into hot dogs, right? But when I go to a baseball game, I really want a hot dog, right? Like we've just been trained when we go to baseball games to want a hot dog, okay? It's just two things have been wired together. We go to baseball games, we have a hot dog. And your brain is just wired. When you feel unsafe and stressed, we drink wine and it calms you down. Okay. That's just totally works. That's the other thing. It really works. And so instead, we just want to notice. And first of all, you could just try to go 2 days. It doesn't, the number of days that you don't drink doesn't matter. It's when you calm and the best version of yourself say, I have made this plan to not drink for X number of days. And then you can't do it. Like you want to do it, but you're not being able to do it. That's where I would just say, oh, I need help rewiring my brain. And it's totally possible, by the way. It's totally possible to dissolve those pathways where you actually just don't even want the drink anymore. And obviously I'm biased, but I think coaching is one of the best ways to do that. But therapy and EMDR, there's so many tools now to just help you rewire that connection. And it just really is possible.
Yeah, I agree. And we get all this messaging, right? It's not even just what we've developed, but then we have all this messaging of like, you see it on TV, like moms are stressed. They reach for the glass of wine, the bottle of wine, and they drink it. We have all these t-shirts and glasses with these, catchy things and phrases. So, I mean, it's not even, it's just kind of been worked into our brains that this is acceptable. This is what the world is offering us. Like, it's okay. Here's your comfort, right? Here's your comfort. And that's, as you say, with Made for Greatness, your company, we were not made for comfort. We were made for greatness. We have these graces, these gifts inside of us that are given to us by virtue of our baptism. We do not do this alone. We do not walk alone. And we can always call upon the Lord to strengthen those gifts and to help us. So it doesn't have to be like, I have to figure this out on my own. It can be with a coach. It can be with a friend. It can be, with your faith group. It can be talking to a priest. But most of all, sitting with the Lord and saying, Lord, what do you have to say about my drinking?
Yeah.
What do you think about that? And just get really curious about what he says and what that means for your life, and then make a plan from there.
Yeah. And I think we know it's a problem when we don't feel free. And you don't need me to give the definition of freedom. Like, when you're a prisoner to something and you don't feel free. And some of us are prisoners to anxiety or depression or people pleasing. Like, sometimes the prison are feelings that we're not willing to feel. And sometimes it's, our coping behaviors that we're doing. But I just want to give you guys hope that you can have done something in your life for decades and then rewire your brain and stop doing it. I mean, I think the longer the problem exists, the more we think we can't fix it. And that's just not true. As soon as you learn new information, then you can absolutely change it. And here's the other thing. When I was learning not to overeat or learning not to stress eat, or actually now, because I have all of those tools, and still sometimes I choose to overeat or eat something that I didn't want to eat or wasn't planning on eating, right? And now I just tell myself the truth. I just say, you know what? The discomfort of something in my life right now is so high that I want the dopamine. I'll just use Oreos. I want the dopamine from the Oreos right now. And this is going to make me feel better right now. And it will create different discomfort for me later. Like, I just tell myself the whole plain truth about that, because it is uncomfortable to not like your life and to feel stressed out and to not drink. That's very uncomfortable. But also there's discomfort that comes from drinking. So even though the drinking in the moment really soothes us and it does give us a rush of dopamine and we feel so great, tomorrow you don't feel great. Right? You're tired. You don't sleep well. Your face is puffy. There's like all these things that come from chronic drinking. And so if you can begin to also tell yourself the truth, like, well, which discomfort do I want to choose? Do I want to choose the discomfort of sitting here and not drinking? We call it letting an urge go unanswered. So their urge comes up to drink and we let it go unanswered. And that's very, very uncomfortable. Like, in your body, it feels like ants crawling on your body. Letting the urge go unanswered is very uncomfortable, but so is how you're going to feel the next day if you do drink. And so I think it helps when we just talk about it like that. And it just makes it a little less sexy, is the truth too. We're like, it's a little like less sexy to drink when you tell yourself that story, like that's what you're choosing. And sometimes we still do it, and that's okay. But I want women to just tell themselves the truth.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So the last thing I just wanted to touch on, you talked about how we are so isolated, more isolated than we have been probably in recent decades. And I'm just wondering if you have any advice about how Catholic moms can lean on their faith community for support when they're feeling overwhelmed, when they're feeling, anxious, like they just can't do it. And then they want to turn to some of these other strategies.
Yeah. I found, and this is interesting, we can all just watch this, but I have found more support in online groups like Facebook groups or community groups than necessarily in person. And part of that is all of my friends are also have a bunch of little kids and are struggling, right? And so, and now I live in northern Idaho where we live pretty far apart. And so there's no like, I'll just pop over. And so I think all of us would like to be better friends and we would like to support each other more. But like, I'm not going to call my friend who has a 3-month-old baby, a 2-year-old, and a 6-year-old and be like, hey, I'm really struggling. Can you come over and have coffee with me? Right? Like she's probably a no, even though she would love to do that. Because we're both like in this hard situation. So one, I think just acknowledging again, it's so weird how isolated we are now that you don't have people on your street that you can have coffee with. Okay. Like how many of you want to have coffee with a woman that's on your street right now? Very few of us. And so don't feel like something's wrong with you that you have to go online. It is just easier for us to cultivate relationships there, especially if you're just in the phase of life where you have a lot of little kids. But if you're not, and I'm starting to get out of that, my youngest is 4 and I have a little bit more freedom, it just takes asking. Right? It just takes asking. And that is really uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable to text your friend and say, do you want to go out to dinner with me tonight? And I think it comes back to this worthiness thing that you were talking about. Like, we don't feel worthy to just go out with our friend for no reason and spend $20 on dinner. Right? Like, that feels terrible. And my brain is like, oh no. And yet I've done it a few times with some of my friends. And someone always says yes, by the way. Right? Like, if I ask 5 people, one person will be like, I would love to do that. Okay. And then we like go to dinner and we talk and it feels amazing. So I think just asking for more coffee dates, lunch dates, dinner dates, and some play dates. Maybe there are moms who do want play dates. You'll get a good sense of which friends want that or not. So that's kind of one thing. The next thing is just really try to create a culture of staying after mass. Okay. Because we've been in a couple parishes where after mass, they have coffee and donuts and you walk in the room and it's all retired people. Everyone has silver hair. And you're just like, they're going to be annoyed with my kids. And I don't want to sit here by myself. I don't even like donuts that much. Right. Like the whole thing is just not designed for modern day moms.
Right.
And so just like be a pioneer and be like, I'm going to bring muffins or whatever. First of all, eat the donuts. I don't care about that. But I like, if you don't want to eat the donuts, bring whatever and text your friends and say, I really want us to try to stay half an hour, 1 hour after mass. We are literally all in the same building. We're all in the same building. And if you can just get critical mass, then it works. I'm now in a parish where almost all of my friends stay for almost 2 hours every Sunday. So I go to mass and the kids play and I get to talk to all of my friends. It is amazing, but we fought for that. And we had to like encourage each other. Like, of course, we all want to go home and take our tights off and like have Sunday. And so it has to be sparkly enough that you're willing to push through your 2-year-old crying a little bit and like pushing nap times. But I'm telling you, if you knew that 4 of your friends were going to stay and that the dads would talk to each other and the moms would talk to each other, then you would do it. So just ask yourself, like, how could I get the ball rolling on that? How could I convince people to give it a shot? Do we need different food? Maybe not, right? But what is it? And that has just been really helpful for creating community at the parish level for us.
Yeah. I love all of that because as you're saying all of those things, those are things that I have done. Like I was part of an online community we were so tight knit. We felt like we were such good friends. And it was because we were all, having difficulty conceiving. And so we talked
Mm.
about it. And then as each person had babies, then pretty soon we started talking about motherhood and all of those.
Yeah.
But what was nice about it is it kind of gets you in a group of people who are all we're all talking about the same thing and the same goal. And then two, at the parish level, I love that. I always tell my family if they're like begrudging because I'm talking so long and the boys are like, Mom, can we go?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? That's how you build community. We are a family. That's how you get to know people. And I will say, not only have do my friends stay after Mass, but we've gotten to meet a lot of the older people in the parish. We bless them with our presence there, and they bless us with their wisdom. And so it doesn't even have to be just people of your age and your, demographic and how many kids you have. It can be such a beautiful family, community, multi-generational, and it is so much support. And I've gotten so much support from people of all ages, within my parish. So I feel like the more you are in it and put into it, the more you get out of it. And then God just blesses it.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you said that, because that is totally how it is for us too. We will sit at a table with an older couple, and then they want to hear about our kids. Yeah. And the thing is, they are really nice and they do like the kids. They want the noise. I mean, I'm sure somewhere there's a begrudging, like grumpy old man who doesn't want the kids, but I will just say for the most part, they're so happy and they want to see the kids. And yeah, I think it's the young people that just need to get over their excuses and to just decide that it's going to be important. My kids also do that sometimes, especially if their friends have left. And my husband and I say, this is our time with our friends. This is our time with our friends. Like we set up play dates and things for you, but this is when we get to see our friends. And we've let them bring books. We'll just have them bring a book in the car. And I'm like, go grab a book. You can go read for a little bit, but I'm going to stay and talk to my friends.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great idea. It's so fun. So we are never alone. That is one thing that we'd definitely want to leave you with, because I think that can be part of why we turn to other things, is because we feel like we just don't have that community or anybody to talk to, or like it's just us, and it's not just us. Yeah. So anyway, thank you so much for being here, Sterling, and sharing some incredible insights and tips that I know are going to help my audience, and for your book. So just go ahead and tell my listeners whatever you want, where they can find you and all that good stuff.
Yeah, well, I wrote the book to be a 6-week parish study with a mom's group. And I really think, like, one, you can do it at your parish during the day or at night. And it's just 6 weeks. So I want you just to make the time to do it. And I also think you can do it online. Like you can have a Facebook group and then go live. You can use Zoom. Almost everybody has Zoom now. You can use Google Meet. Like you could do it. If it feels too hard for moms to get together for 6 weeks in person, do it online. But these tools are going to teach you how to see less wolves in your life. And then when you start seeing fewer wolves, then you're not going to want to drink as much. I just promise you. I promise when everything quiets down a little bit, you'll be like, oh, I actually can handle my life. And it can happen pretty quickly too. I will tell you that, because I think sometimes we think everything's going to take 6 to 12 months. And sometimes healing trauma does, but learning how to let urges go unanswered does not need to take a very long time. So you can find everything at CatholicMomCalm.com. It's hard to say those two words together. Calm.com. And then all my handles are Catholic Mom Calm. So everywhere you can find someone, I'm probably there. And this is what we talk about. It's just like how we live in a crazy world, but we can handle it. We really can. God gives us the right tools, and he picked us to live in this time. So he has a work for us to do in this time. And I think that's really comforting for me.
Thank you once again to my guest, Sterling Jaquith, for joining me today. I will have a link to her new book, Catholic Mom Calm, in my show notes, or you can even just go to Amazon and probably type it in there and it should come up for you. Well, that does it for this episode of the Catholic Sobriety Podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I would invite you to share it with a friend who might also get value from it as well. And make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a thing. I am the Catholic Sobriety Coach, and if you would like to learn how to work with me or learn more about the coaching that I offer, visit my website, thecatholicsobrietycoach.com. Follow me on Instagram at the Catholic Sobriety Coach. I look forward to speaking to you next time. And remember, I am here for you. I am praying for you. You are not alone.